It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night-tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Edgar, your darling Annabel Lee is here. And I'll always be here, regardless of what the angels do to take me away. I'll always be here. And granted, of course, heaven's okay, but heaven's not a place I want to be if heavenly creatures like you aren't there. And frankly, if there aren't heavenly creatures like you, is it really heaven? I brought some water from the ocean or the sea into this little bowl, just to sort of cleanse the sweat from your pores that has accumulated over the night. I know how much you sweat from nightmares and fears, and how haunted you are. But I just want to remind you that it is through no fault of your own that I'm where I am. The consumption hits everyone, I'm afraid. The consumption is a vile creature that sucks away life, regardless of the virtue within the body. It is a plague neither good nor evil, because if it were evil, it would only afflict the virtuous, but if it was only good, it would afflict the sinful. And frankly, I wouldn't consider myself the picture of virtue, but I would also consider myself someone that did her best to live according to virtue. And I was taken by the consumption. And there have been plenty of people who live in sin, those in the brothels and pubs that have been also taken by the consumption, and thus it's no one's fault, this consumption. It is only the fault of our weak flesh that succumbs to this vile malady. How are you feeling? The water is supposed to be nice and cool, just a nice cool breeze, but frankly, my darling, I don't really feel anything anymore. I'm not a very physical person anymore. I'm apart from this world, and that's the beauty of it, is that even though this malady swept me away from you, I no longer feel the malady. I no longer feel the same coughing and pain that I used to feel. My sweet, sweet. I can hear you calling my name from the cliff, and frankly, I'm afraid that the ocean has swept away. The ocean wind has swept away my pain and my sickness along with it. There. I visit you every night, every night, every night. Make no question about that. Every night I'll visit you to make sure that you are okay. I don't want to see you suffering for not having me. And it is time that you move on, my darling. That you move on to another woman. Because if you don't, I'm afraid you'll be left behind with no child left. And what kind of a life is that? Had I my way, I would have, had the roles been reversed, I would have mourned you for years. But I would have also found another suitor to have a child with, and I would have named the child after you, unbeknownst to my new suitor, to honor you and to remember myself, to remind myself of you. But leaving no heir is frankly tragic, and I don't want you to suffer through two tragedies, now do I? Annabel Lee, Annabel Lee, Annabel Lee, Annabel Lee, I hear you screaming it from the cliff above the sea line, seashore, and it calls me forth every night, and frankly, every time you say it, I'm going to come. For you see, our love is unparalleled. Even from heaven, I can visit you and escape to come to your side, but you have to decide, is that a fate worth living, my darling? Is that a fate worth existing in? Would you much rather have a woman of flesh and blood, someone you can hold and marry and have children with? Or do you just want me returning to your dreams every night? A sick woman who is now fine, who must escape from the skies in order to come and see you. I don't think that's an existence you want, my darling, and that's frankly an existence I hope I don't have to enable you to live. If anything, I'll wait for the day that you pass naturally, hopefully, and we can reunite. But I just am concerned about your health. And granted, of course, it'll break my heart to see you move on, but I argue that it might break my heart more if you were to waste away your days. There you go. Look at my appearance. Am I not angelic? Am I not healthy? Am I not the picture of life to you? I might be a little translucent, but it is fine for the cost that I had to pay, which was my illness that I no longer have. I also brought with me some celestial stars. It's star juice from the celestial skies. This star juice will give you a sense of vibrancy and a sense of life and a sense of purpose to gear your life down. That way your life isn't monopolized by just one sole purpose, which is to call me. It is given a new drive by which you can live through. And granted, if your new purpose doesn't require you to settle down, find someone new, and have children, I'll be okay with that. I just want you to live for something that isn't calling my name, because though I love hearing it, it isn't an existence that I love for you. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of this tapped out star juice. And I'm just going to wipe them over your eyes. So close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close. And now I'm just going to wipe some of the star juice over your eyes. Just wipe the star juice. Wipe, 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 wipe the star juice over your eyes. Now, my darling, open your eyes. How do you feel? Do you see a new life before you? Do you have a better sense of clarity or a new purpose? Well, I suppose that even with the star juice accounted for, let me just wipe some of the star juice residue from your eyes. If even with the star juice residue upon your eyes, if you still consider your purpose to be screaming my name off a cliff overlooking the sea, then reciting poetry to me, then I suppose there's nothing further I could do. You may continue screaming my name. Annabel Lee, Annabel Lee, Annabel Lee, Annabel Lee. Off of your cliff, overlooking that sea, and call for me every night. And I'll return to you, to comfort you, to make sure you're okay, make sure your dreams aren't scarring you, aren't haunting you, to make sure that your mind is nice and sound, my darling. But you must rest now, so go to sleep, my darling. I found myself sitting in the library, and again sitting there alone. It seemed that I had newly awakened from a confused and exciting dream. I knew that it was now midnight, and I was well aware that since the setting of the sun, Berenice had been interred. But of that dreary period which intervened, I had no positive, at least no definite comprehension. Yet its memory was replete with horror. Horror more horrible from being vague, and terror more terrible from ambiguity. It was a fearful page in the record of my existence, written all over with dim and hideous and unintelligible recollections. I strived to decipher them, but in vain, while ever and anon, like the spirit of a departed sound, the shrill and piercing shriek of a female voice seemed to be ringing in my ears. I had done a deed. What was it? I asked myself the question aloud, and the whispering echoes of the chamber answered me. What was it? On the table beside me burned a lamp, and near it lay a little box. It was of no remarkable character, and I had seen it frequently before, for it was the property of the family physician. But how came it there upon my table, and why did I shudder in regarding it? These things were in no manner to be accounted for, and my eyes at length dropped to the open pages of the book, and to a sentence underscored therein. The words were the singular but simple ones of the poet Ebn Sayyat. Why then, as I perused them, did the hairs of my head erect themselves on end, and the blood of my body become congealed within my veins? There came a light tap at the library door, and pale as the tenant of a tomb, a menial entered upon tiptoe. His looks were wild with terror, and he spoke to me in a voice tremulous, husky, and very low. What said he? Some broken sentences I heard. He told of a wild cry disturbing the silence of the night, of the gathering together of the household, of a search in the direction of the sound, and then his tones grew thrillingly distinct as he whispered of a violated grave, of a disfigured body enshrouded, yet still breathing, still palpitating, still alive. He pointed to garments. They were muddy and clotted with gore. I spoke not, and he took me gently by the hand. It was indented with the impress of human nails. He directed my attention to some object against the wall. I looked at it for some minutes. It was a spade. With a shriek, I bounded to the table and grasped the box that lay upon it, but I could not force it open, and in my tremor it slipped from my hands and fell heavily and burst into pieces, and from it, with a rattling sound, there rolled out some instruments of dental surgery, intermingled with 32 small white ivory-looking substances that were scattered to and fro about the floor.
You're going to have to forgive me. You see, I don't show my teeth. I was told that I was once a very beautiful woman, but that I fell ill, and my fiancé, for lack of a better word, or words, buried me alive, and that's not good. It was horrifying, and the fact that he would once admire me for my beauty and then bury me alive and keep my teeth. No. He didn't take the teeth out of my mouth. My teeth fell out because I was ill. And as you can see, I'm still very ill, and I'm still not dead, but I'm still very ill. And he kept them. He kept the teeth that fell out of my mouth because he said he was obsessed with my smile. So I don't smile anymore. But if you could do me a very odd but wonderful favor, could you smile for me? I just like seeing teeth. I just like seeing beautiful smiles. I just like being reminded of what I could eat, what I was able to do before. And you have a very beautiful smile. You have a very nice smile. But, I must ask you for a very second, very odd request. I too have also developed an obsession with teeth. I don't think I'm going to try to keep your teeth or anything like that. I'm not a gayness, but my cousin Gaines, we were engaged. And he adored me. He was obsessed with me. He admired me every day. We would spend days in the library reading to each other. But once I became sick, he became obsessed with parts of my face, my forehead, my teeth, my cheek, just everything. So, now I have grown obsessed with teeth as well. Because you see, once someone keeps your own teeth in a box and refuses to let you keep them, or just at the very least give you the decency of throwing them away, that kind of, leaves an impression on you. But, may I tap on your teeth? It's an odd request. I completely understand if you say no, but I like feeling teeth. I like feeling them inside the mouth. I think once I see teeth that are out of the mouth, because dentists have offered to show me, teeth that have fallen out. But I don't have the stomach to see them or to feel them outside of the mouth. But if you let me just tap your teeth, I'll feel much better and much at home. Wait, would you permit this? Okay, well, I'm just going to. Once again, I have your permission. Well, excellent. Then I'm just going to start tapping away at your teeth then. This does make me feel much better. You see, when a gayness took my teeth, I didn't know what to do. And when I was buried alive, I didn't know what to do either, but per the custom, of course, I ended up ringing the bell, and I was let out. Some grave robbers came into my grave, and they stole pieces of jewelry from me. I used to have a ring with a rock on it, and it was just a titanium band. Even though I feel odd when it comes to Gaines, my cousin, I still can't deny the fact that we were engaged and that we were once very close friends. But I just can't bring myself upon to marry him after what's happened. And frankly, even if I could, he wouldn't marry me. He wouldn't marry me because he has seen me foul. And now that he owns exactly what he wanted to own in the first place, which were parts of me as opposed to the whole, he no longer finds me suitable as a mate. Your teeth are lovely, and your smile is very beautiful. Just keep smiling. I can't smile. Otherwise, I would have given you a demonstration. But you see, I just do this to show happiness now. Just a sort of tightness of the mouth. Perfect. You are an absolute saint for letting me do this. An absolute angel. Well, I still have my inheritance. I still have my money coming in. I'm no longer considered a lady after the fact that, I was buried alive, and my cousin gets to inherit the money once our proprietors die. But in order to support myself, I try to engage in some of the arts, like writing stories and penning poems and publishing them. It's frankly, it gives me enough to feel independent, but it doesn't give me enough to live on my own, which is what I like, because I just can't I can't palate being with a gayness or having to be dependent on a gayness. It absolutely horrifies me, because a gayness is someone who sees you as an object and will take anything away from you. But I will persevere, and I will triumph the situation. Gayness will find some other muse, and I'll be free from the gaynesses. For you, keep smiling, please, just a little tighter. Just want to have a good tap on your lips, just a good feel for them. Let me pull you a little closer. Is that okay? Would you mind smiling for me a little bit, please? Okay. How does that feel? Does it feel nice to have your teeth? Does it feel nice to be able to smile without seeming horrifyingly monstrous to those around you, where they just see you without any teeth and they know you as the girl or lady, but girl when you're unmarried, even though I'm supposed to be married, that was buried alive. I feel like a spectacle anywhere I go, and I'm happy that you didn't treat me like a spectacle, because that makes me feel much more at ease. So thank you for that. But after one more tap, I think I gotta just head back home. I have to just go back to my room and contemplate over myself or whatever else, or just, relax a little bit. Just take my leisure time, because I'm still very sick. Thank you for letting me feel your teeth. As I've already said, it's a rare pleasure that someone lets me feel their teeth while they're still in their mouth. Dentists let me feel the teeth, but once it's out of the mouth, and that's something that it's a mockery to me. So thank you.
I trembled not, I stirred not, for a crowd of unutterable fancies connected with the air, the stature, the demeanor of the figure, rushing hurriedly through my brain, had paralyzed, had chilled me into stone. I stirred not, but gazed upon the apparition. There was a mad disorder in my thoughts, a tumult unappeasable. Could it indeed be the living Rowena who confronted me? Could it indeed be Rowena at all? The fair-haired, the blue-eyed Lady Rowena Trevanion of Tremaine? Why should I doubt it? The bandage lay heavily about the mouth, but then might it not be the mouth of the breathing Lady of Tremaine? And the cheeks, there were the roses as in her noon of life. Yes, these might indeed be the fair cheeks of the living Lady of Tremaine. And the chin, with its dimples, as in health, might it not be hers? But has she then grown taller since her malady? What inexpressible madness seized me with that thought? One bound, and I had reached her feet. Shrinking from my touch, she let fall from her head, unloosened the ghastly cerements which had confined it, and there streamed forth into the rushing atmosphere of the chamber huge masses of long and disheveled hair. It was blacker than the raven wings of the midnight, and now slowly opened the eyes of the figure which stood before me. Here then at least, I shrieked aloud, can I ever be mistaken? These are the full and the black and the wild eyes of my lost love, of the Lady Lygia.
Well, it doesn't seem like I'm going to last much longer than your beloved bride, Lygia, now am I? The fair, raven-haired, dark-eyed, brilliant woman of your dreams, who enlightened you and made you feel like you could never meet a woman as intelligent as she. I'll never compare to her in your eyes. Even in death, I'll probably still be just an afterthought compared to her. But the fact that you would give me my medicine despite my accusatory and emotional state does make me feel much better. And at times I do feel like I don't deserve you because I just don't feel very well, I'm afraid. And thinking of Lygia, it's something that haunts me. But nonetheless, I'll take my medicine as you've told me to do many times before, and I'll make sure that I just swallow it down. Every last drop. Finished. Why is it that you're so obsessed with Lygia, though? You've mentioned her constantly, even on my deathbed. My deathbed. Her intelligence, her mysticism, her mystery. You don't feel as hot as I do. I'm burning. I'm burning, and all you can think of is Lygia. Well, maybe if Lygia somehow possessed this feeble body of mine, you'll be much more content and attentive to me. But I'm speaking out of turn. You've been very attentive to me, and I have to make sure that you understand that I do appreciate how caring you are, but I must confess that I feel very, very envious of Lygia. Her dark hair, her dark eyes. They mock me. They mock me into my grave. But you would much prefer to see her in my place. I feel much hotter than usual. Feel me, feel my head, feel my face. You put your cheek here, rest your hand against my cheek. Don't I feel hot to you? I'm burning. I'm burning up. Soon you'll have to wrap me up and bury me. You'll be on the hunt for bride number 3, who still can't compare to bride number 1. Bride number 1. But I won't go further down on that discussion. I'm just a bitter old hag, unable to cope with impending death. And unable to cope with the fact that my death won't be special. Because Elijah was the first, and I'm only the second. I am the second to be the dead bride of yours. And there is nothing special about being the second. Elijah was always the most special, and she'll always be the most special to you. But nonetheless, I feel very, very faint. And I feel like I have to rest. I have to close my eyes and just sleep. Sleep it off and hopefully be carried away. Where Elijah will no longer torment me. And my husband can be reunited with the woman he truly loves. So I'll just rest. I'll just rest here. And you can just wait for her, I suppose. Why, hello there, my darling. Long time no see. You see, in my... Why, of course, I completely understand that you're a bit surprised right now, but frankly, isn't it great that I'm here with you now. We're reconnected again. We've rejoined each other. We are together, and we won't be parted again. I had to pass. I had to cross over, if you will, in order to better learn the secrets on the other side. A Germanic tradition, of course, as you very well know that, we must cross through portals. It's very German fairy tale-esque in order to figure out what is on the other side. And I now know what's on the other side. So there's no need to panic about our mortalities anymore. As you know, I was very, very concerned about ends and conclusions and mortality, and despite all of my knowledge about the physical world, I could only ever calculate the fact that humanity's life is just so finite in the grand scheme of things. Its fleeting substance is just so... It's a mockery to the grand timeline that we're encompassed and trapped within. But now that I was able to cross over, I can beat death. We can beat death together. Well, Rowena was my expense. I needed a body to come back. And frankly, we would need a male body for you to come back in. If you so choose, you could always come back as whatever figure you'd like. But, if you'd like to prefer to continue on in the existence that you've been existing in, then you can conjure up a male body. You can pass away. I can get remarried. You can take that male's body and we'll be set and square. Well, basically, this is what happened. So, Lygia, me, I had to go, die, learn about the fleeting material world between the spiritual and the physical. Learn the bridges between those two. Find the bridges and learn how one can cross through. Is there a ticket? Is there a manner in which you can cross over? And once I learned its substance, once I learned the trick, I was able to carry myself through these portals and come back to life. But of course, in order to come back, I couldn't come back necessarily as my own form, but I did retain myself. I came back as myself. As you can see, I'm physically the same, but I needed to inhabit someone else's life force, and I needed to take their life force from them. So I so very much appreciate the fact that you would poison your second bride for me and give them a goblet filled with poison for me. I mean, opium, who would have thought? Nonetheless, the fact that you did this for me shows how dedicated you are to our vows and our commitments, because of course it's until death do you part. But I mean, what happens if you parted after death and your bride comes back to life? I mean, what is the contract then? What is the contract when your bride is so intelligent that she can bend the laws of nature in her benefit? What is the contract when that bride, that very intelligent bride, is able to bend the laws of nature in order to revive or resurrect and bless her husband with the same gift? And what is the contract? What is the outcome when that couple is able to give birth to children that inherit those gifts? What sort of gifts or monstrosities will they birth? Will God punish them for bending his will, or will he bless them for beating the game? Frankly, of course, as we've learned, as we've read, he is more on the vengeful side, and he doesn't really prize people who are intelligent and cunning and able to circumvent his plans. But there is another force that is very blessing and very forgiving, a force that I've befriended and that I am very excited to introduce you to. A very cunning, secretive, slippery, sort of sneaky force that is very snake-like, and he can't wait to meet you. And frankly, I can't wait to let you embark on this passage. So, without any further ado, let's begin your ride into immortality, shall we? The breaking of the hermit's door, and the death cry of the dragon, and the clangor of the shield, say rather the rending of her coffin, and the grating of the iron hinges of her prison, and her struggles within the coppered archway of the vault. Oh, whither shall I fly? Will she not be here anon? Is she not hurrying to upbraid me for my haste? Have I not heard her footstep on the stair? Do I not distinguish that heavy and horrible beating of her heart? Madman! Here he sprang furiously to his feet and shrieked out his syllables as if in the effort he were giving up his soul. Madman, I tell you that she now stands without the door. As if in the superhuman energy of his utterance, there had been found the potency of a spell. The huge antique panels to which the speaker pointed threw slowly back. Upon the instant, their ponderous and ebony jaws. It was the work of the rushing gust. But then without those doors there did stand the lofty and enshrouded figure of the Lady Madeline of Usher. There was blood upon her white robes, and the evidence of some bitter struggle upon every portion of her emaciated frame. For a moment she remained trembling and reeling to and fro upon the threshold. Then, with a low moaning cry, fell heavily inward upon the person of her brother,
and in her violent and our final death agonies bore him to the floor a corpse, and a victim to the terror he had anticipated.
I know several tricks that makes a person look so deeply asleep that frankly they'll mistake them for being dead. And yes, I know, people ask me constantly, are you the Madeline Usher? And I say, yes, I am. And then they ask me, the Madeline Usher? And I said, yes, I am. I am the woman that's constantly being mistaken for being dead. But I'm going to help you. And help you I shall now. This candle is one of my favorite candles because it has the scent of lavender and soap. It smells very clean, and it smells very peaceful. It gives you the sense of being at peace. So please, smell this candle. Waft it, waft it, waft it, waft it. Yeah. My brother, well, Roderick definitely has a sense of humor, now doesn't he? He constantly tells people I'm dead, and frankly I don't understand how that is in any way, shape, or form humorous, but he finds some joy in it, and frankly, I just abhor him. Now, let's just think about all of the places we would like to visit if we weren't so trapped within a mansion. And yes, people often say, oh, well, I'd love to live in a bigger house. I'd love to live in a wider landscape. I'd love a house like yours. And I often tell them, run. No, you don't. You want to travel the world. Don't be stuck in a big house where there's no escape. The house breathes. The house breathes. Which reminds me, one helpful manner in which you can fall asleep quicker is breathing exercises. So let's do a couple breathing exercises. And make sure you're constantly breathing. That way I don't mistake you for a corpse and bury you prematurely. And you'd have to climb your way out of that tomb by yourself, waking up in a cellar with a stone above you, having to use above natural force to open the tomb. The tomb in which your brother buried you alongside a stranger and left you there for literal dead. Breathing in for 4 seconds and hold it for 4 seconds. And now let's release it for 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. Let's try it again. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold it for 4. And let's release it for 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. My mistake. I forgot to count to 12. Instead, I counted to a most unlucky number. 13. But frankly, 13 and I have many things in common. And there's nothing that could have possibly made my life any more unlucky. I mean, frankly, how unlucky do you have to be for your own brother, your own flesh and blood, to consider you dead when you have rosy cheeks? Rosy cheeks. And I was most likely breathing. You wanted to kill me. You wanted to bury me alive. Alive. Do you know what it's like to be in a stone coffin by yourself, to wake up? Last thing you saw was just your living room, and wake up in the basement in a stone coffin and feel absolutely trapped. And the only way to save yourself is by going absolutely and positively insane. because it is by only that unnatural and unholy force that you can move the stone lid from your coffin and survive. But you survive into a life where you can never trust those around you again. You constantly fear falling, blinking, because who knows when the next time you'll be buried alive will be. Enough about me. Let's think about all of the places we'd like to visit. I have here a beautiful globe. Look at how round and big the world is. The world truly is a beautiful and marvelous and wondrous place where there is a lot to see and a lot to visit. But imagine if that world was turned upside down. It would be a most positively ruckus thing to see, but my own twin brother. What are the places that you'd like to see, darling? That is a fine selection. I can't go there, though. I have to stay here with my twin brother, Roderick, who buried me alive. I don't think I've made this picture clear enough. He buried me, my twin brother, the man I was in the womb with. He buried me in a tomb, alive. And he intended to keep me buried, entombed in there for 2 weeks. No drinking, no eating. No breathing. Let's do our breathing exercises again. On the inside. Hold. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. Now, let us decipher for ourselves what we would like to do right now. You are a guest in my home, but as you can see, the fire is clicking, and it keeps clicking. It keeps clicking and clicking and clicking away, which indicates that your time here is running out, but you have to decide how it runs out. My time here is also running out, so don't worry, this isn't just a you concern, this is all of us concern. Roderick, myself, you. Roderick and I can't leave this place, though. It's alive. The building is alive. It lives with us. If anything happens to the building, it will happen to us. And if anything happens to us, it will happen to the building. So we don't know what exactly is going to go first, whether it be us or the building. But soon, the flickering of the light, one of us will go. One of us is going. Whether it be us, the twins, or the building. But it's up to you to decide if you want to let time run out on you or you run out on time. You can run out of here if you like. You can leave if you like. You can run away. Or you can stay here with me and watch as this building finally comes down. I was always meant to die within this building. I should have never crawled out of that tomb. My mind broke when I broke that lid. My mind broke when I woke up in that coffin. And perhaps my mind breaking is what is now breaking the house. So, you can leave now if you like, or you can stay. It's up to you.
What fiend spoke from the recesses of my soul when amid those dim aisles, in the silence of the night, I whispered within the ears of the holy man the syllables, Morella? What more than fiend convulsed the features of my child, and overspread them with hues of death, as starting at that scarcely audible sound she turned her glassy eyes from the earth to heaven, and falling prostrate on the black slabs of our ancestral vault, responded, I am here, distinct, coldly, calmly distinct, fell those few simple sounds within my ear, and thence, like molten lead, rolled hissingly into my brain. Years may pass away, but the memory of that epoch never, nor was I indeed ignorant of the flowers and the vine, but the hemlock and the cypress overshadowed me night and day, and I kept no reckoning of time or place, and the stars of my fate faded from heaven, and therefore the earth grew dark, and its figures passed by me like flitting shadows, and among them all I beheld only Morella. The winds of the firmament breathed but one sound within my ears, and the ripples upon the sea murmured evermore, Morella. But she died, and with my own hands I bore her to the tomb, and I laughed with a long and bitter laugh, as I found no traces of the first in the channel where I laid the second, Morella.
Here, have some of this. I've given it specifically for you. Just drink it up. Drink it up, drink it up. No need for second thoughts. What are you feeling right now? How are you feeling right now? Curious. Okay. Please, continue telling me every feeling you're having, every thought that is crossing through your mind. I want to know every detail about you right now. Morella. My name is Morella. It's very nice to meet you. I am someone who is fascinated with the individual, with identity, with learning more about others. My husband might not agree with me. In fact, my husband might sometimes not wish me the best because of this pursuit, but my husband needs to learn that there are times where identity and individuality must be pursued. And in that pursuit, intellectualism will be found. Granted, the German philosophers of Schelling and Fichte might not agree with me because they have believed in this, frankly, counterintuitive idea that women should be subject to their husband and father's authority. But the true authority that we're all subjected to is the authority of death. The authority of death calls us all into subjugation, but I am going to be the first one that, frankly, undoes this subjugation. We are going to be the first ones. My intent and my purpose in this experiment is, frankly, to test the waters of immortality and of death. Yes, this experiment that we're about to conduct, yes, this experiment. Now tell me, how are you feeling right now? How are you? What are your thoughts? Keep those in mind. Fascinating. Keep those thoughts right here at the center, at the point of center of your mind. Keep them locked right here. Locked. Interesting. I just wanted to gaze at your thoughts a little more, to see what exactly it is that it's causing your face to do. You see, your face reveals so many little details and emotions about you. It reveals so many little sparkles of information that you might not even be privy to yourself. So I am absolutely entranced by what exactly I can derive from your face. You see, your face has a certain... Your face, you see, it has a certain downward turn to your mouth. There's a sense of acceptance that is present at the corners of your mouth, and there is also at your eyes just a little bit of disinterest, of boredom, perhaps even. But how is it that you're feeling? Are you feeling faint by chance? Are you feeling slightly just disintuned with reality? Okay, fascinating. So you feel like, tell me if this is an apt detailing of what you might be feeling right now, but do you feel disconnected from reality? Do you feel untied from reality? Do you feel like you're flittering further and further and further and further away from this point of life and earth? Do you feel as if there's a sensation of closing your eyes, as if you're falling asleep? Fascinating, interesting. And how does that make you feel? Are the feelings that you're having a little different than usual? You're feeling a little bit of tingles. That's perfectly normal, perfectly normal. Could you please locate to me where exactly these tingles are located? A bit of a cold, tingly sensation. Oh, fascinating. You are an absolutely fascinating specimen. About myself. Well, frankly, there's no need to talk about my feelings and about me. I mean, frankly, I'm a very simple woman. I'm obsessed with German philosophy. I have a great level of scholarly knowledge, and I have a husband. I'm married. I have a child, and frankly, that child is me. I take care of myself. I know. People often say, well, I have a child. But no. I have a child, and that child's my inner child. And I like to call that inner child Morella. Nonetheless, let me just continue examining you. We are here for you. We're here to continue examining you, because you are the subject of this study. You are the reason we're here, and frankly, you are what is making this study possible, conducting the study possible. Now, you're feeling a little cold, a little tingly. Are your extremities feeling cold? Okay, fascinating. Do you feel any fluster of emotions right now? Any sense of fever or anxiety? No? That's perfect. Very good. Perfect. I designed that concoction to induce a most perfect euphoria, where you will feel relaxed and you'll feel like there is no worry in your mind. Your mind is completely unclouded by any concern or fog. You are liberated. Well, I'm prepared a concoction, frankly. To be honest with you, now that this experiment has advanced towards a later stage, I concocted a nice little remedy using my knowledge to induce a certain death in you. Please don't fret. I mean, you can't fret even if you wanted to fret, because you have just such a deep sense of euphoria over you, a deep sense of relaxation. Here, tell me, can you feel this? May I touch you? I know you're a bit upset at the fact that I've poisoned you, but let me just conduct this one experiment, and I think you'll find it most worthwhile. So may I touch your cheek? Okay. Were you able to feel that? No. You see, your senses have dulled. You are not physically capable of feeling anything, and your internal emotions are calmed. they have been tranquilized. They have been numbed, but in the most beautiful numbness, where you feel now very at peace. And because of this, you're able to slip away into death, slip away into peace. But do not fret. Keep in mind, once again, let's practice this mental exercise once more. Keep in practice right here your identity. Focus on your identity. Focus on you. Name 5 things that make you, you, what you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Keep those 5 qualities in mind. Keep them in mind. Keep them in mind. Keep them in mind. Do not lose them. They will be your rope back into this life. You will be able to come back to life by following this rope of identity markers, and you will be able to revive yourself into the body of another. Keep focusing on those 5 qualities. Keep focusing on those 5 qualities. 5 qualities. And remember who you are. Are you feeling a little faint right now, like you could close your eyes any moment and not open them again? Do you feel very chilled? Well, if it wasn't for my concoction, you would be feeling very cold. That's what happened to me. When I passed, I felt very, very cold. Yes, I died. But I came back to life because I remembered and I knew who I was. And I followed that trail of breadcrumbs right back to life. So as you're closing your eyes, just remember those